Can be tilted so pilots can see the runway while taxiing and landing. But when flying, the needle-shaped nose cuts through the air. Concorde's delta, or triangular-shaped wing, wide, thin, swept back, provides greater lift for takeoffs and landings, and more stability and less drag while flying.
The part which you see is the part the air molecules go around, and that's aerodynamic. I designed the leading edge here. I designed the wingtip for the production aircraft. It's that shape because that was the one that came out to be best. It's not because it was beautiful.
Concorde was to be the most tested plane of all time, conceived to withstand every potential hazard. Even a window shot out at 60,000 feet.
The size of the window has been determined by the caliber of the Colt 45.
And at Farnborough, in a specimen cabin built into an oven, 10 men are sitting in for the businessmen of the 70s.
The flight deck forms part of the nose fuselage structure.
The pilot's seat, the original estimate was £6 million. It actually cost £80 million, 80.
That's over $140 million in today's money.
Of all the unique parts of this airplane, this is arguably the most unique.
The air intakes take the air going at twice the speed of sound, 1,350 miles an hour, and over the space of 10 or 15 feet, slow it down by 1,000 miles an hour. Concorde air intakes are still leading-edge technology.
It is the world's most efficient jet engine. Technology-wise, it's still the envy of designers all over the world, even now.
Another innovation was fly-by-wire, the first computer-based flight controls in a commercial aircraft.
This airplane had fly-by-wire and digital systems years before most of it ever came out.
And fly-by-wire engine control?
Everything's electronic. There's very little on the airplane that isn't electronic. Even the brakes are electronically controlled.
Modern aeroplanes are starting to use the same brakes that Concorde has used for 30 years.
The final cost of the finished plane eventually reached a staggering £1.1 billion, over $16 billion in today's dollars, more than 10 times the original estimate.
The world's first sight of a supersonic airliner, 001, the first prototype of the Anglo-French Concorde, being rolled out at Toulouse.
Finally, in 1968, 3 years behind schedule, and despite all the technical, political, and financial problems, Britain's Concorde was unveiled to the public.
Behind this great achievement lie the work of tens of thousands of dedicated scientists, engineers.
It was a very, very cold day, very clear. We were parked on a grandstand, and there was a French military band out of the front, and it tootled away for a bit. And then the doors started to open and reveal this absolutely unbelievably beautiful shape. The taxi tug driver came out and pulled on a special pair of white gloves, climbed up into the cab and towed this thing out in a magnificent great arc. The nose came right over our heads. There was no doubting at that stage that any pilot would have wanted to fly Concorde.
We loved her because we had so many flights with her.
1 year later, on March 2nd, 1969, the French Concorde made its first historic flight.
On the ceiling of this very building here, there were 600 people with television, radios, and so on.
Checking the setup of the fuel panel.
Years of precise planning and simulated flights had led up to this single moment. Nothing was left to chance.
And the fog is now burning quite quickly off the airfield here. Just seconds to go.
Et maintenant, enfin, le premier vol.
The simulator we had for 2 years before the first flight was very accurate. I could say, with some smile, that on the March 2, we flew the simulator.
Wheel well up, smooth rotation continuing, and from the 593 Olympus is, nose come up to 20 degrees, she's airborne, she flies.
A month later, Britain's Concorde was ready for its maiden flight. Its pilots in oxygen masks, just in case.
Go, and good luck, gentlemen.
Fingers crossed. Il roule. Nous croisons les doigts. Merveilleux. Bon décollage.
And from its first flight from London's Heathrow Airport to its last, the crowds gathered to watch Concorde make its daily departure to New York.
How long have you been coming?
Years, many years. About 8 years.
I've got 3 children who are in their mid to late 20s now. When they were tiny, they'd hear a roar in the sky and they'd look up and say, "Oh no, Dad, it's not Concorde, it's just a plane."
Despite its noisy takeoffs, Concorde inspired devotion on the ground and in the air, from the public and pilots alike.
When you fly and you are right there in the cockpit, the stars are just at your knees. This you cannot forget.
And it's a lovely thing to fly. It's very easy to fly. At high speeds, the most impressive, because at Mach 2, when you're feeling as if it's completely still, as if you're frozen in ice, with the curvature of the Earth clearly visible, you look down at the clouds below, see them turning. If you disengage the autopilot, you can actually fly the airplane with 2 fingers, and it's as easy as that. And when you think that you're traveling at 1,300 miles an hour and doing it all with 2 fingers, it's pretty extraordinary. It's beautiful. It expands, it contracts, it flexes like a fly fishing rod. It's extraordinary.
But an adoring public, superior technology, and supersonic speed would not be enough. Concorde had to find buyers to recover its massive development costs.